Hi, I'm Eve and I use any pronouns.
And I'm Phoenix and I use they them pronouns.
And this month for book club, we are reading Audition for the Fox by Martin Cahill. Cahill?
Cahill.
One of them is correct. Or none of them.
You listened
we don't
to
know.
the audiobook?
Yeah, and it's narrated by him.
At no point did he say his surname? I find this hard to believe.
Probably. There was an intro that I always skip when I read audiobooks. I'm just like, I know what the book is. And then they post them talking about who they are. I'm just like, I'm finished the story now.
Okay. Well, I'm going to call him Martin Cahill. I'm just putting that out there.
So, anyway, as we were saying, this month we're reading Audition for the Fox. Once again, there's going to be loads of spoilers for the book. So if you haven't read the book, it's 100 and something pages. Go read it. Come back. Listen to us talk about it.
Yeah,
because we're going to get into it.
It's that easy.
It's
you just
that
gotta,
easy.
It will not take you long.
No.
Unless you're in like a mega slump.
Yeah, then it will take you
take
ages.
me longer than it probably would have last year, but, you know, that's fine.
How long did it take you?
It took me like 3 or 4 days, which isn't long.
This is not long at all.
For a novella.
It probably did me the same time, though. What was my activity? Hold on, I'm curious. Hold on.
I can't.
Started 28th of February, finished 2nd of March. How many days were in February?
28.
I read it in 2 days.
Yeah, so you were a bit quicker.
So, I'm better. Good to know. But anyway, yes. Do you want to tell us what the book is about? Or do you want me to read the little synopsis?
I will do it. That's okay.
Please. Please do.
Him. Nesi is... Nesi?
I've been saying Nesi.
You listen to the audiobook, so you should know.
Yes, I'm correct. Nesi.
Okay. Well, I'd rather say Nesi than like Nessie, the Loch Ness Monster. Nesi is desperate to earn the patronage of one of the 99 Pillars of Heaven. As a child with godly blood in her, if she cannot earn a divine chaperone, she will never be allowed to leave her temple home. But with 96 failed auditions and few options left, Nesi makes a risky prayer to Sedan, the Fox of Tricks. In folk tales, the fox is a lovable prankster, but despite their humour and charm, Sedan and their audition is no joke. They throw Nesi back in time 300 years, when her homeland is occupied by the brutal wolfhounds of Zemin. Now, Nesi must ally with her besieged people and learn a trickster's guile to snatch a fortress from the disgraced and exiled 100th pillar, the Wolf of the Hunt.
Ba-ba-ba.
Ba-ba-ba-ba.
It's always a wolf that's the bad guy.
I mean...
Usually. For good reason.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Anyway, I say Sedan.
But it's two A's.
Sedan. Yeah.
So it's like,
I didn't know it was written like that. Sedan.
Again, how does the
Confidence.
audiobook say it, Eve?
Sedan.
Okay.
Yeah. But, hey.
I would not read that as Sedan.
Neither would I, because I've just read it for the first time.
I would, if it was Sedan, I would expect an E on the end.
I would say
I'm gonna... Hot take. Martin Cahill, you're fucking wrong.
You're fucking wrong. That doesn't
You don't
look
know how
like
to pronounce
Sedan.
the word you made up.
Also, Sedan just sounds like a car. Isn't a sedan a car? Whoopsie.
That's why you have to pronounce the T. To Sedan.
Sedan. Tessamon?
Sedan? 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 The Fox. I'm just going to call them the Fox.
The Fox.
For the rest of
Here
this
we
fucking
go.
episode.
Exactly.
The Fox and Nessie, the Loch Ness Monster.
The Loch Ness Monster. What did you rate this novella?
I gave it a 4.25.
I gave it a 4.
Okay, so
Oh my
we're
God,
pretty
look at that.
close.
We're pretty damn close.
Go
I
team.
thought it was a jolly good time.
I also thought it was a jolly good time. I had a couple little minor issues with it, but I didn't think it was, like, bad in any way.
Oh God, no. It was the perfect length for what the story was.
Yes.
In my opinion.
And also, the world, the concept is really cool.
Yes.
And I think that a full-length novel in that of this concept would not work.
No.
But I would
It
definitely think it would be cool if we get more novellas of a similar style for other pillars.
That was going to be one of my things at the end. It was literally just like, my gripe was, I wish we got to see more of the other pillars. I would love to know...
I can understand why we didn't.
Yeah.
Because, you know...
I hope we get more auditions, like little snippet auditions for the other gods, because it would be really, really interesting to go back and see some of them after this, especially with the little short stories interwoven, which was my favourite part of it.
Me too.
Because love you, Nesi, but Nesi, I'm gonna keep mucking it up. But those were the most like intriguing parts to me. I was like, oh. I just love seeing Saidane going around and doing stuff.
I think the reason for that is that Sedan, the fox, is a significantly more interesting character than Nesi.
Yeah. What age is Nesi?
Did not care for Nesi. Apparently, she's 21.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
But she reads like middle grade.
Yeah, she reads like she's like 14.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I assumed this was
apparently
like
21.
Oh.
If I've done my numbers right, which I probably haven't.
I'm just gonna assume you're correct.
That
feels like
love that confidence.
That feels right, but I'm also like that is a 14-year-old. That's because it just feels like I need to go out into the world kind of storyline that you'd see in like a teenager.
Yeah.
We should kind of say the book kind of starts off with Nesi being at the pillars. I get confused because I thought originally that it was going to be like a school system, but then it's also just like a home. I can't remember what it is.
She's in a temple.
They're at a temple. That's the word.
Because she is descended. She's the granddaughter of one of the pillars. And anybody who has a god's blood in them has to be like protected because their blood has power and there are people out in the world who will use that power for evil. And so they are raised in a temple and then they audition for various pillars with the intention of becoming like an acolyte of one of them so that they basically have that pillar's protection and nobody can fuck with them.
Yeah.
And so she has failed 96 times and
brilliant.
Is left with
gorgeous,
not great options.
No. Because it was the Foxatrix and the Assassin Snake, and the Lion something.
I was going to say, was it the Lion of War?
Lion of War? Perchance. That feels right.
I think it was, right?
The Lion of something. So, inevitably, she chooses to go for the fox. And immediately, she's just expecting like a really small edition at first. But this one, she's charged like 300 years in the past.
Yeah.
And made to help start the revolution. It was fascinating.
It was really cool.
It was really cool.
And
I love time travel.
I really liked the sort of reasoning, as it were. I do think it's weird that there is, an invasion, a war, and apparently none of the other pillars are involved.
Yeah. Because it was
that doesn't make sense to me.
They were explaining it at the end of the book where it was like the wolf had killed the fox's child. And so the fox was like, I'm going to be one that opposes you no matter what. But the other pillars don't stand with him. They
just sort of don't.
Nothing?
And it's like we get one. There's the fucking Eagle of Justice or whatever shows up at one point.
And it's like too scared to really just stand up against.
Yeah, it's really
wolf.
strange. And like I say, like the fact that, like, I don't know, the Lion of War isn't involved in any way, shape, or form in the story of a war don't make much sense to me.
The Snake of
It's
Assassins not going
weird.
after a couple of the big names.
It's
Interesting.
strange. And
Interesting.
I don't like
I
it.
don't fully agree. It would have been good to see a couple of them being like dotted around in the story.
Yeah, and I really liked, like you were saying, the sort of fables that we get in between chapters. Those were really cool. And it was
Those
really
were
cool
really
to
cool.
see, like, what the other pillars are like, and, you know, get glimpses of them, and glimpses into the relationships between them and stuff. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
But then it's like, oh, and now we're back to Nesi and
Nesi and
the
Una.
fox, and nobody else is involved. God-wise.
Yeah. Literally.
Yeah.
And it was like, the glimpses we did get of them being called into the story were great. And I guess, I know we're meant to be focusing on the fox, but it would just made kind of no sense that they weren't involved.
Yeah.
Especially, but it was good to see the kind of like reputation that the fox had compared to the actuality of their personality.
Yeah.
Where like Una describes the fox as being like, she always thought he was like terrifying and, oh god, what was the word she used? But just like terrifying, and it was just like, oh, you're just kind of weird and like Cheshire catty.
Yeah.
And not like this malicious like being, which was great.
It's a very
so, yeah.
classic interpretation of a trickster deity, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really? Where it's like,
I like it a lot.
sometimes the trickster with the heart of gold. Except that in this case, it's like, no, the trickster has, like, the fox is very much just always like that.
Yeah.
And they're not, like, malicious.
No.
And in fact, I think every instance that we see of the fox playing a trick on somebody, it's like justified.
Yeah. It's like
Like
nudging
it's like
the
to bring them
scales.
down a peg or whatever.
Yeah. I respect. By my favourite little like fable that we got to see was the one with the stallion.
Yep, that was a classic.
Oh my god, it was so good. Basically the stallion was going stallion of swiftness, I think it was.
I believe
and
so.
And was running so much faster and outpacing all of its followers that the fox kind of came in and was like, what are you doing? And they kind of like had a bet against each other, and it was a kind of way to shame the stallion and to be like, you're going to leave your followers behind and they're no longer going to follow you and you're going to be alone.
Yeah.
And it was that kind of like teaching you a lesson.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed that, and slightly ridiculed the stallion, but still.
I quite enjoyed the turtle.
I love the turtle.
Because again, it's like very much a case of the fox being like, what if, you know, what if you're not actually all that?
What if you're not all that? What if I make you small, and then I keep you in my pocket, and I gamble you away, and suddenly you're at the bottom of the ocean for 100 years, and you're just fine with it? No, the fables were definitely a really, really fun part of it. Did you have any like big standout favourite section of it? Because I definitely did. On a very specific, I had a monologue that I was very impressed by.
There was a couple of little quotes that I particularly enjoyed. I didn't have. I wouldn't say there was any one moment in the book that I was like especially wowed by.
No.
Like, in terms of the story.
Yeah.
But there were a couple of bits that I really enjoyed the writing of. I suspect that that's probably some overlap with what you're thinking of.
I'm of the same of like, there was no plot moment that I was like, oh, that's really cool, apart from like Taor in general.
Yes.
But my favourite scene was definitely when Taor read his poem. And the fox was just like, yeah, it was middling. Your middling art is his favourite art. It's kind of like the art that's not awful and it's not like fantastic, but
Yeah.
it's so inspiring to get people to start making art
Yeah.
and to continue getting better.
I have the
Love
section
that.
here if you want.
Please. I fucking adored that section. I was like, ooh.
I'm not going to read all of it.
No.
But let me see. So yeah, it's like you say, they're talking about how they enjoy middling art. But the bit that I specifically highlighted was middling art. Art that has strong qualities while still not quite capturing greatness. That is the best kind of art, my friend, and why I love your poetry and that you write it. Because a very bad poet will see your art and wish to try harder. A very good poet will see your art and try to be better. And someone who has never made any art at all will see your art and know it is possible for them to try too. For my money, that last is the most valuable. We could all stand to create more than we destroy, especially these days, even if it is middling.
See?
Yeah.
It was like the story up to that point, I was just like, oh, this is fine. And I was like, you can't just drop something like that.
Yeah.
That was really fun, especially
Yeah.
because in a writing standpoint. Because
most of the writing is fine.
most of the writing is fine, yeah.
Most of it is, if you will pardon the pun, nothing to write home about.
Uh-huh.
But then there's moments like that where you're like, oh!
Oh! You nailed it!
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like,
The other
really deep.
bit that got me was when we learn about the wolf having killed the fox's child.
That, yeah.
Because
I did not see that coming for...
it brings, obviously, like, context for everything.
Yeah.
Up to that point. But there's also a really interesting part where it's basically they're talking about how the fox very easily could have snapped and hurt the wolf, like killed the wolf in that situation. What the quote is, for that lost child, they would not become what the wolf deserved. To this day, I can only marvel at the strength it took, maybe still takes, to honour that lost child instead of satisfying their own pain. And it's like, again...
See, the drop quotes that are just really, really good.
Yeah.
There's just some lines that are just like, wow.
Yeah.
How does your brain work? And it's like, oh.
Yeah.
And still, none of the family are helping the fox.
Yeah. And it's
Even
like, after that, it's
murder
like, all of them
taking
came
place.
together and banished the wolf. And that's why
Yeah.
the wolf is like, got his own army and stuff.
Yeah.
But then it's like, when this wolf is invading the lands of the people that worship the rest of you, why are none of you doing anything?
Especially when there's a specific scene, like right at the end of the book, where the occupying army is making the Oranoyan people, making them watch, I think it was like a puppetry show, or like
there's like a performance thing
of them taking down the pillars and making them watch it, and yet none of them were like, this is concerning, we should step in.
Yeah.
No.
It just doesn't make sense. I will say that bit of them being like forced to watch the this play about the wolf overthrowing all the others, really good, really like dark.
Yeah.
I don't love the whole like, then they all put on fox masks and overthrow them.
Yeah.
It
was a
especially
bit too
because
easy.
there wasn't a lot of like trickstery stuff, really.
No.
We're sort of told that Nesi is like become more of a trickster, but never really shown it.
To be honest, I don't think she really develops any trickery skills.
No, but we are told quite a lot that in her time there, she becomes more, cunning and and all this, and it doesn't really feel like it's happening.
No. She was just a bit sneaky passing them around, but I was just like, that's the only time you've been like very sneaky.
And then it's like they
Yeah.
poison them, and then they all put on a fox mask and charge them, and it's like, woohoo. It did just feel
It was
a
a
bit
too easy.
It felt a bit sort of flat.
Yeah. It was just
And-
kind of like this needs wrapped up now. What is the
Yes.
quickest way?
Yeah.
Because it was they've been charged out the city, and they were like, oh yeah, but if they come back, they can't get in the walls now because we have the city walls, so they can't get in. I'm
Yeah.
like, an army.
But an army with no
Can't.
weapons and anything, I suppose.
Yeah,
Because all
true.
the weapons and stuff are
True.
inside.
I didn't think about that, but it felt too.
It was a bit
wrapped up.
weird. Yeah.
It was a bit too. Here's a bow
Yes.
for the end of the story. So
It just
yeah.
didn't quite
didn't
work.
quite hit the mark in
And I could
in the field.
see what the author was going for.
Yes.
Having that, like, moment of revolution.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't. It kind of
It
falls
felt
a bit flat.
flat. Yeah. It's also because like the main thing is I didn't feel a lot of the world and the landscape was fleshed out a bit. I was like, oh, the city has walls, because I felt that
Yeah.
when a lot of the scenes that we were in, it was like they're either the original scene where she's just sent back in time. They're in a field, and then suddenly we're in really individual rooms when everything happens.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't see what this fortress kind of looks like, but
Yeah.
we
It was
can
hard to sort
fully
of
have
picture
time.
anything.
Yeah. I was just
Yeah.
like, oh, you're a city. Cool. Good to know.
And I think, again, I understand there are limitations to a novella.
Exactly. Yeah.
But there was definitely opportunity for that sort of stuff to have been a bit more fleshed out.
A bit more. Yeah.
I liked some of the world building concepts, especially like the stuff around the pillars. I like the whole like animal deities thing. I like that they
love
each have their
animal
like
deity.
sort of stereotyped thing that they are the god of. I'm a big fan of that sort of thing. Like you say, the stallion is the fast one,
Yeah.
and the turtle is the patience, and all this sort of stuff. I like that. I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah.
But then it feels like the rest of the world, in comparison, is just like it's just fantasy place. It's a land where there's people.
Here's a field.
Like it didn't feel like
Give it a populace.
it kind of felt
Yeah.
like all of the creative juices went into the 100 pillars.
The pillars.
And then it was just like, okay, and then there's also a city, and there's like an evil empire that have invaded,
Yeah.
and that's all I've got.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did thoroughly. This is a complete jump, but my favourite character was Tayor, for obvious
Okay.
reasons, and I
Yeah.
loved his nickname of being called the Ogre.
Yes.
That
He's-
made me incredibly happy.
Yeah. He was definitely one of the better parts of the book, for sure.
I specifically really liked his backstory of like the muddling poet made to be soldier in a suit of armor that's kind of sentient.
Yeah,
Because it forces
that's
him to be the
magic.
wolf. It's magic. And that his sister Adira was the one that was doing it, and because I kind of resonate with like the fact that, or like not resonate, but the like she was probably trying to protect her brother, but in doing so made his life a fucking living nightmare,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
because their whole culture is you have to be strong to survive, and
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
to be a certain way, and she was probably like, yeah, so I'm helping you.
Yes.
He was
yeah.
he was perfect in my mind, and the
Yeah.
whole scene of the clipping of the strings towards the
Uh-huh.
suit of armor, and then the armor collapsing at the end during the uprising scene.
Yeah.
That was a good trickery moment, but it was the only one we saw.
Pretty much.
So pretty much.
I liked the inevitable thing that you have with time travel, right?
Yes.
Is at some point the time traveler has to go home.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was done really well in this book, because
Mm-hmm.
she makes the decision. She's like, I'm gonna stay, guys. I'm gonna stay and help with the revolution. And then the fox goes, you can't, and whisks her back to her time, because that's where she should be. And there's afterwards, obviously Nesi is like, why the fuck would you do that? Now my friends are dead. And the fox is like, yeah, but they were dead anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
they were 300 years ago, there was no world in which they weren't going to be.
There was nothing you could do.
But they did. I like that the fox did tell her what happens with Una and Taylor.
Yeah. I was a big fan of that.
Una, you know, the two of them sort of travel together doing rebellious stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Una gets injured and then falls in love with a printer's daughter.
Yeah.
And
starts making like pamphlets of war pieces and uprising material, and I'm like,
starts making like anti-fascist propaganda.
Stunning.
And then there's a nice line where it's no children, but if you go to the bookstore in Ozon, there is a little plaque with her and her wife's name on it, speaking of the good they did. And it's like, oh, they get remembered in a bookshop. That's nice.
That's lovely.
Taylor, we just get
stole ownership.
He never saw his family again, but I'm happy to say he did go on to become a truly middling poet.
Yeah, icon.
Yeah.
And his dad died of being rageful or something, or disappointed.
Something like that,
I remember that. He became a poet, and he was most... I remember because he makes a collection called His Most Passable, which is about the fox.
Yes.
Which made me very happy.
And so it's very much like, they died a long time ago, but they are remembered. Like, they did have an impact, and you had an impact, and they are remembered, and you remember them, and that's very sweet. I liked that.
I like that a lot. I feel that a lot of the Fox audition was the kind of unraveling of Nesi's personality, or like the expectation that she had on herself, and kind of taking her back a minute, because she was faced with a lot of new stuff and she was taking out of her environment, and I really, really did enjoy that. I'm
not entirely convinced she had much of a personality, but
but the idea of
I know what you're going for.
An identity and building one up, even though the identity was little and small, and disintegration of the wholeness that wasn't fully formed, but you know. But the self-acceptance at the end was really sweet, especially because at the end she even tricks the fox of being like, he's offered her the position to become the acolyte, and she's like, nah. Yeah. Before very quickly turning, being like, you will smite me. And accepting. I very much did enjoy that. And the fact that there is a kind of like continuation of the story of like, oh yeah, in 90 years this is gonna happen. Do you want to go check it out? I do quite like the fact that there was like more time middling after her trial was ended. I was very happy with. Yeah.
Yes, the two of them like right at the end step off into into time. It's time to go and meddle some more.
It's Doctor Who, isn't it?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah. It's a T. Kingfisher kind of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn. But, I did want more history of the land. But that's my main complaint.
Yeah. The world itself is not fleshed out as much as I would have liked. I mean, I do want to shout out the cover. I think the cover is really cool.
The cover is fucking amazing.
And I do like the little... Not that you will have had them because you listened to the audiobook, but there are little fox illustrations throughout as well.
Oh, is there? Oh, cute! Yeah. Like little foxes running across the page, little paw prints.
There's like little foxes in circles and stuff. Hang on,
I like it.
Send you a screenshot.
Please do. I will say for anyone who wants to listen to the audiobook, it's fucking great. My only complaint ever in audiobooks is breathing. And the sounds of people's like saliva. If you don't like that, there is like 3 chapters in particular where that does not get edited out.
Oh no.
And it's all you can hear, because then it's suddenly a really like sharp intake of breath a lot, and like you can't stop. I don't like the sound of people breathing.
That's
It's off-putting.
Yeah, I don't want that.
in
You
my
don't want that
ears.
like right in your ears.
No. Especially at the speed I read, it just sounds really off-putting because it's a lot of like and it's just horrible. It feels like, you know, like a jump animation in a video game. I'm like, no.
Yep.
I
I'm
don't
with
like
you.
it. It's off-putting. But yeah, no, I don't think I have much more to say about it. It was a really short novella.
Yeah, it's a novella. We all knew this episode was going to be shorter. That's why we chose to do a novella.
Exactly. It was a fun, good time. But we should go into some book recommendations we have if you did enjoy this, or if you didn't. But yes, I can jump into a book recommendation.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. The book I'm currently reading, which I don't actually know if it's out yet, is Wolfworm by T. Kingfisher. Which I'm also reading on audiobook, and the audio narrator is fucking phenomenal. I'll look it up while I am talking about it. So basically, we are set in 1899 North Carolina. How good. It's narrated by Mary Robinette Kowal. If I get that wrong, I'm so sorry. Phenomenal voice. It is a gothic story following a kind of down on her luck scientific illustrator who has been mainly doing plants in the past, but has recently just taken up a job to be an illustrator of bugs. And so she is sent to North Carolina with a pad and pen and to sketch out these bugs for this old eccentric man who lives in the butt fucking nowhere. And there is things in the woods, which everyone keeps saying that the devil, quote unquote, was spotted wandering the woods, and so you're not meant to go out there at night. And what does she do? She goes out during the night. And so there's kind of mad happenings, and I personally think, I don't know yet, I've not finished it, I think there's vampires. Don't quote me, but there's something going on with the bugs. Especially the blood drinking kind, especially the kind of like latch onto you kind. I think it's vampires. We shall see.
Yeah.
It's dope. It's great. I missed T. Kingfisher. T. Kingfisher is fucking fantastic.
I've got some now.
Fabulous! Yeah!
Thank you for stalling. City of Last Chances by Adrian Tarkovsky. Yes. Which we did an episode on last year?
Indeed. I think it was one of our first ones from last year.
I have very much lost track.
I'm gonna find it. It was March.
Oh, so it was this time last year then.
Snaps. Oh my gosh.
Incredible. I mean, obviously, I'm always a big fan of Adrian Tchaikovsky, but this one has the sort of god-mortal interaction thing that's
heavily.
very fun. That's more similar to Audition for the Fox. Also has a like revolution thing going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
go listen to
intricate
our episode
revolution.
about it as well because it was great. Probably we are always great. So you know.
We are always great. Pop off. And to be honest, the relationship between Yasnik and God in that book is fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
They kind of hate each other and love each other at the same time. It's fascinating. My second one was Of Monsters and Mainframes. I've not written down the author's name. That would be really helpful.
Yeah, that would have been smart.
Barbara Truelove. I found it. Basically, the main character is Demeter, a ship AI who kind of like ferries humans between Earth and Alpha Centauri, and I think somewhere else as well, but I probably am. Basically, so on board, they kind of face a string of paranormal murders, teams up with a bunch of unlikely crew members, people with strange powers, a werewolf, all that kind of like pulp, I don't want to say pulp fiction because that's not the right term, but you know what I mean. Like old timey like horror creatures to stop Dracula specifically from slaughtering her passengers. And if you listen to the audiobook, some of the chapters are in ones and zeros. And is terrifying when you're reading it on 2 times speed. And they just put ones and zeros in your ears. It's great. Yeah.
I can see that. I have a series of graphic novels. The first one is called Ismire, and they're sort of called the Ismire series. They're by B. Muir. That's B, as in the letter B, and then Muir, M-U-R-E. And they're like little short graphic novels. They've got a really cool art style, and they're all this sort of... I was going to call it steampunk, but it's not really steampunk world, except that everybody's animals, and they're very much like about art and revolution and loneliness, and they're hard to describe, but definitely worth a read. It's a really good art style. I definitely recommend enjoying them because they just look really cool. And yeah, I think the vibe is similar.
My last one is a book we read last year, right at the end. Automatic Noodle by Anna Lee Newitz. Was that last year? That was last year. That's crazy.
It's just because it was like November, and that was a long time ago.
It feels... basically, we're in a near future San Francisco, rebuilding after a big war, where a crew of like abandoned food service robots take over a kitchen and open a noodle bar in their old premises. It is also a novella like this. I think it was fantastically done. There are some complaints I had about the story, but if you want something nice, short, very cute, low stakes sci-fi, it's very, very fun, because the main threat is coordinated review bombing. It's delightful.
Yeah.
It's a fun, good time and has great characters. So yeah, and a fantastic cover.
Yeah, a really good cover.
Vaporwave kind of. Oh, I love it.
I've gone for a classic, which is Monk and Robot by Becky Chambers.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
So A Psalm for the Wild Bill, and then A Prayer for the Crown Shy as well.
Indeed.
Sort of solar punk, distant future, where the robots gained sentience and left. They just walked off into the fucking forest, into the wilderness, and haven't been seen since. And that was like centuries ago.
Yeah.
And the books follow sibling Dex, who is a tea monk, who travels around like various small settlements, providing people with tea for their various ailments or needs. And on their travels, they encounter Moscap, who is a robot who has been sent to answer the question, what do humans need? And
so
then
sweet.
There's a very lovely theme of purpose and, what it is to be a person.
Yeah.
And
multifaceted.
They're really beautiful, and
It's
I cannot
gorgeous.
recommend them enough.
Honestly,
especially if you just really want to cry.
Yeah. Or if you're burnt out as well, it's a great book to read when burnt out, because it feels like
has my
hug.
favorite literary quote of all time in it, which is it is enough to exist in the world and marvel at it. You are allowed to just live.
That book, it just makes me happy every single time it's mentioned.
Yeah.
So
I missed a bit in the middle there, didn't I? So enough to exist in this world and marvel at it. You don't need to justify that or earn it. You are allowed to just live. I don't know what else to say. Becky Chambers is fucking fantastic. She has a new book coming out this year.
What?
This is not a fucking drill.
What? Hold the phone.
I keep forgetting to tell you.
Hold the phone.
It's called...
You let this podcast episode take place without telling me?
Something about break the shell.
Ooh.
As you wake, break the shell is what it's called. It comes out in October.
I know what we're
This
reading
year.
in November.
It comes out in late October of this year.
I know what we're reading for January. February.
I am not waiting that long.
Me neither.
I
I know what we're saying in our wrap up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
Oh my god, that's exciting.
I think it's going to be, a classic Chambers.
Oh yeah.
And I cannot fucking wait for it. So there you go. There's a fun
Oh my
fucking
god,
fact.
that's so exciting.
This is your opportunity, people. If you have, after 3 years of this podcast, still not read any of Becky Chambers' books, now's your chance.
Now's
You've
your
got
chance.
3 novellas and 4 novels. Bash them out, and then you can then the new book,
Dive
which
right
is
in.
probably not connected to any of them, so you don't really need to read them all. But everybody does need to read them all because they are incredible.
So worth it. So yes, do go read them. Holy shit. I'm so excited. I'm vibrating. Oh my god. On a cool note as well.
Yeah, speaking of bangers,
Speaking of bangers of books, we're doing it. Guys, we're doing
We
it.
are doing it.
Are doing it. After years of probably teasing of us going to reread this next book, we're finally doing it.
We're doing
The next book is Gideon the Ninth by motherfucking Tamsin Muir. Like,
yeah.
Like,
this is not a drill, people.
this is not a drill. We're going to read it.
Gideon the Ninth for next
Yeah.
month. And
We deserve
then
it.
We get to properly talk about it.
Yeah. And I've never reread it. So I'm so excited.
I also haven't fully reread it.
I've reread Harrow, but that's purely because Harrow
I
mindfucked me so hard that I needed to do it again.
I haven't reread any of them.
Oh.
I've only read them once
Well.
each. I don't really reread stuff very often, so this is a
That's
lovely
fair.
opportunity.
This is a lovely opportunity.
I'm going to have to pick one of my 3 copies of Gideon to read.
Oh lord.
Or technically 4 if you include the audiobook.
I'm audiobooking it this time. I'm excited.
I won't, because it will take me ages. I will have to actually physically read the book.
That's fair enough.
I do not go through audiobooks very fast at all. It takes me literal months to listen to one audiobook. Yeah, come back next month to finally fucking talk about Gideon the bloody fucking Ninth.
Bloody Gideon fucking Ninth. And their ginger hair and their
Yeah.
big swords.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about them. So join us in April.
Yeah.
We shall see you then. Thank you for joining us here at the Tavern. Phoenix, where can our listeners find you outside the podcast?
You can find me at Beans and Fungi on Blue Sky and Instagram. What about you, Eve?
And you can find me under Cozy Crow with an S and not a Z on Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky and YouTube.
And of course, make sure that you're following the podcast itself on Instagram at Hearth and Tome Pod, Blue Sky at Hearth and Tome, TikTok at hearth.and.tome, and YouTube at Hearth and Tome Pod to get updates about when episodes come out, as well as behind the scenes bits and bobs. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see you next month.
Fabulous.
Bye! The music used in this episode was Midnight Tale by Kevin MacLeod through Incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license.